This is the Amplify Your Business with Matt J. Hanham podcast, where I explore the entrepreneurial landscape and have candid conversations with inspiring individuals who are crushing it in their space. Today is an Inside Out episode, and I will chat through a couple of topics. The first one is something that I pulled out some notes actually from a few months ago, and I really wanted to bring this topic to light. And I've had a lot of conversations being early in the year around this, but top line revenue or profit. What are you focused on, and why? What is the mindset? What's behind that? And the second topic is authenticity on the internet, what we can learn from famous pets. You're probably wondering what on earth that means, and you'll find out soon enough. So the first topic, top line revenue or profit. I would ask you a question and answer this honestly. Are you focused on top line revenue growth, or are you focused on profit? And I don't mean, are you chasing money? Are you out there running this Instagram bling lifestyle trying to buy Ferraris? But what are you doing in your business? Are you only thinking about growing this thing, or are you thinking about profitability? Like, which one is more important to you, as in emotionally? Like, which one do you feel is more important to you, and why? Like, what is it that you're after? Are you delaying profit? Are you pushing out the need for profit because you're chasing growth at the start? I have to ask that question. And if you don't know the difference, let's start there. You better Google it. Revenue is basically how much people will pay you for goods and services, and profit is what's left. Now, if you don't have a really firm understanding of that, I won't dig into that today, but you need to know your numbers and you need to understand what you're doing if you're running a business, or even, look, if you're not running a business and you're running someone else's business or whatever that is you're doing, you need to be focused on the outcomes. You know, we can focus on growth. Growth is important in many cases, but what about the profit? You know, profit, it'll feed you. It'll feed your family. It'll give you a place to live. It'll reduce your anxiety and it will let you wake up and do it again tomorrow. And let's face it, what we want to do is take control of our lives, run our businesses, do our own thing. We don't want to have to wake up and go, well, I focused on the wrong thing. I made some money. Maybe we had the best 3 months we've ever had, but we spent more than we earned and we're in trouble. In the past, I've definitely been guilty of targeting only revenue, or, you always look at profit, but revenue would be the number, the thing that I was always looking at month on month, week on week, year on year. What is the revenue number? And, I think I'd say to myself, I'll fix that profit later. I'll fix those, that can be worked out later. Let's just chase the top line number. And I was sort of pondering why. Revenue is a vanity metric in a lot of ways. It's almost an ego play. How big is yours? How big are you? Oh, we've got more of this. We've got more staff. But is it that, or are we sort of motivated by a deeper influence? It got me thinking of a story. Well, maybe not a story, but a couple of months back, I was watching the movie Sing with my kids, and some of these animated movies, I really appreciate the themes, and the humor in these movies. And sometimes I think I get more from it than the kids do. But there's a character called Johnny in this movie, and his dad is a criminal, and all he wants to do is make his dad proud. He wants to follow his dream and become a singer, but his dad wants him to help out, and his dad wants him to help him basically rob buildings and help him in his life of crime. And the story goes that Johnny basically helps land his dad in jail because he was distracted and he was practicing singing, which is what he loved to do, and he wasn't keeping watch. And this, his dad gets really upset and angry, and his dad's in jail, and Johnny gets an opportunity to perform at a concert. And this concert happens to be televised, and his dad has no idea. His dad doesn't even really understand that Johnny wants to sing or loves to sing. And in jail, there's a scene in jail, and he yells to the other guys in the cell, "Turn that crap off the TV." And then he looks around and realizes it's his son singing on the TV. Look, he proceeds to sort of break out of jail, and he goes to see his son, and the police are chasing him, and in true movie style, he sort of gets there and has the big hug and tells him that he's proud of him. And the whole sort of scene, this section has got Elton John's song, I'm Still Standing, I'm still standing, I'm still moving on, is pumping through the whole scene. And I was watching that, and I was sitting there with my kids, and the scene actually got me emotional in a sense, got quite emotional. And I realized how much, in a lot of ways, that I was still trying to prove to, people, but definitely also my dad, and trying to do things that make him proud. And I have a great relationship with my father. He's taught me hard work, perseverance, discipline, sacrifice, patience, so much more. But this is not a new concept. I've, over the years, considered at depth, goals and expectations that I've had in my life, and what is it that I've chosen to do versus what is it that I was sort of trained and brought up to do. And I just realized that in a lot of ways I was still trying to prove myself to my father, who I probably don't necessarily need to prove anything else to, in terms of achievement, in terms of what I've done in my life from a career and business level, but also from a family level and everything else. But how much do we truly decide when progressing, when making decisions to move forward in life? And when are we trying to prove something to ourselves and is it truly for us? It's like an iPhone, it comes with a handful of preloaded apps, but you always have to be replacing and upgrading your systems and considering what your outcomes are. And unless you're a very stable, long-standing big business or operation with little, there's little reason or with little sort of disruption occurring in your industry, which I laugh a little bit because if you're not experiencing disruption, you're probably going to get there. What are you can't just sort of sit there and stay with your same operating system. You have to give it some thought and think about what you're trying to achieve. And I think in a lot of ways, bigger is better, and everyone perceives that, and that's why we chase this growth, we chase this top line revenue. We're still trying to prove to someone. We're always trying to prove something. And ask yourself what for. Like I found at times when I've had less revenue and been more profitable in business that, everything in life is better, for want of a better word. Yet when I've just purely focused on growth and top line, and as that gets bigger at times, I've come out, my biggest revenue years in business have not produced the same profit and outcomes as some of the lesser quality years. So yeah, what is it that you're focused on? And don't forget about the bottom line. We all know it, like, oh, you need profit. Of course, we'll talk about it. But really, what are your day-to-day actions focused on improving efficiency and delivering the best outcome and output you can as a business to make sure that you are truly profitable? And this is not a money conversation. This is a conversation on how you can continue to do this every day, how you can continue to help your clients or build a better, improvement or improve your products. This is about being able to deliver your mission and purpose better. This is not a financial thing. This is just keeping yourself in disciplined check and making sure that you're able to continue to do this for as long as possible. So ask yourself the question, what do you need to do differently or is there anything you need to do differently to make sure that you're focused on the outcome and the profit and the end game for your business, and make sure that you stay in there for longer? Because let's face it, 95% of businesses are dead within 5 years. That number might be slightly higher even. If you look around you, you've probably seen a few businesses drop off. Do you want to be one of those numbers? Or are you willing to do what it takes and have that discipline to be there in 5, 7, 9, 10, 15 years? Is that you?
Dog known as the world's cutest dog named Boo has died at the age of 12.
Authenticity is all we have. Your word is power. Everything that you say, everything that you do has to line up. It has to be in integrity.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was authenticity on the internet. And this is probably a bit humorous, but there's a famous Pomeranian named Boo, and it's known as the world's cutest dog for those that don't know. And basically, this dog passed away in his sleep a few weeks ago. And look, people on social media were jumping up and down and freaking out. His charm, his smile, the joyful spirit of this dog, Boo, captured people's hearts. And now people don't know what to do, which is crazy because, it's just crazy. I mean, basically, how you could be more interested in someone else's pet, maybe over yours, is an interesting question. But I found this interesting tweet, which is what I wanted to talk about. It says, this tweet is from Kate Roseby, KateRosebee, and she tweeted, "We're hitting a weird point where the first sort of cohort of famous internet pets are reaching the end of their lives." And it sort of got me thinking about, how did we get here? How did a dog sort of become so famous and well-loved through the internet? And not that we shouldn't care, but I guess why do we care? And what is it about Boo and pictures of fuzzy animals on the internet that make us go so crazy? Dogs are just themselves. Unfortunately, my pet passed away, my beagle Jack, last year, but he used to just do whatever it is that he wanted to do. And he's a beagle as well, so maybe that's part of the equation. But there was no lies, no gimmicks. He lived in pure joy, or he always told you on his face what he was up to and how he felt about it. Every sort of Instagram or other influencer claims they've got an insider know-how on how you can portray your most authentic self online. But at what point is this just a sham, or is it even helpful? I pulled up an article, to find out what tips people are sharing. And here's some tips from a blog that has been written by Haley Narman. Make authenticity your priority. She says, consider your strategy. Be willing to put in the work, track responses and pivot based on what the engagement you're getting is, and be yourself. But what's the point? Why is it so important to be seen online? With my own journey of sharing more on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, I mean, we don't always really want to deeply share everything that we do. And ironically, the more you do, it's sort of, you get more comfortable in sharing more, but then you're never going to portray the completely authentic side of your life unless you've committed yourself to being effectively on a Big Brother stage in a complete reality situation. And even with that reality TV, you can never fully be you, and you'll never portray your complete persona, even if you're being sort of filmed and as a documentary style in real life. But why do we care so much? And I think we look for, things or consistencies between sort of people out there and ourselves, so we can say, look, no, they're just like me. They just happen to be on film. I think that's what we're seeking out, because I guess if the piece about the famous person that you align with is there, because you clearly don't align with, you don't have their fame, you don't have their movie star status, you don't have all those other things. But if you can align in other areas, I guess you can feel like that they like you and they can be like you. But I've started sharing my own journey. I realize with everything that I share that there's always so much more that can be shared. And at what point is authenticity, where does it stop, and what's reasonable, and why would you want to be completely authentic? You would want to be completely authentic in some ways, and in other ways you don't. Like we also talk about, something I've seen many, many times as an employer is, young kids come in, young students come in, and they send you their resumes, and you go and have a look online, and if they put stuff up on there that's clearly authentic, it's clearly what they did last weekend, but you don't want to show that because then you lack professionalism. So there's this weird balance between professionalism and authenticity. And, I guess everyone has their own version of the internet. They all choose what they want to consume. And I think they're always seeking out for people, and they want to consume and feel like a community and find people like themselves. So anyway, authenticity is something that Gary Vee pushes very hard, and so many others. But I don't ever know if it's possible to be completely authentic unless you were literally put in a room surrounded by cameras for weeks, months, years on end. And then I wonder what the point would be. So the point is to share your message, to be the real you, to not go out there and pretend that you're something you're not. But there's always going to be a point where it's potentially pointless to show anything more authentic. I mean, no one really cares probably how you brush your teeth. Yeah, in wrapping up, I hope you got something out of the top line revenue and profit conversation. I've certainly taken even notes for myself, and it's something that I'm really focused on more and more, is just making sure that we're getting the right efficiency in our business and for our clients and everything that we're doing. And, one thing about all of this and everything we do is social media and podcasting and this conversation itself is there's a lot of authenticity in what I'm saying and in these topics, but there's also, clearly a line and a point where you have to remain professional and be the you that you need to be to achieve your goals and dreams. So thanks for tuning in. You can jump on Instagram or YouTube or check me out in Facebook or whatever you want at Matt J. Hanham. And I've also got some really exciting stuff coming up. This week I recorded a podcast with Ryan Serhant from $1 Million Listing on Bravo and other Bravo shows. He's got Sell It Like Serhant. He's released a book recently, which is a bestseller. And he's got an amazing YouTube vlog, which is growing. And I had an amazing conversation with him about how he gets his drive, what he does when he has bad days. Because yes, everyone has a bad day. Everyone has bad days. Tony Robbins, Ryan Serhant, whoever it is, Gary Vee, they all have bad days and they still get, these things done. So stay tuned for that. That's coming in a few weeks. But until next time.